Sunday Taiwo, Communication Associate, Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mike, and good day to our listeners at home.
So I want to know what exactly is the thing that is influencing this lack of development indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much. I even like that you used the Western word, as an analogy. And I think over the weekend, I was again reading the book Why Nations Fail.
Okay.
Yeah, by Darren and James Robinson. So there was a part there that says that, an average US citizen is 20 times as prosperous as, someone living in the sub-Saharan Africa. That's Nigeria. So that means that their democracy is working. And they did not just arrive there. There are systems that they've put in place. So let's come down to Nigeria. In 1999, before 1999, it's been a roller coaster, military, civilian rule, and all of that. And one thing about military governance is no one wishes for it, right? Because it comes with fear, comes with repression, silence. Nobody dare speak truth to the power. So since 1999 that we've, transitioned into democracy, one would think that democracy would mean better roads, good education, better healthcare, economic development. But today, is that really the case? Of a truth, we would, agree that we have the freedom to some extent, if truth must be, told as it is, because in a military governance, we dare not even be
asking question.
Exactly.
What
is
you can't even protest.
What is awakening the citizens? What is NSAS in a military governance? So those are the, opportunities that comes with democratic governance. But the core of it, which is that the security and welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of the government. Is it being realized? Because like Okiki said, democracy is not an end in itself. It is only a means to an end. And what is the end? Development.
Okay.
Inclusive development.
Inclusive. Okay, so you will say that, therefore, that our democracy has been dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
Okay, so maybe you'd like to educate the people who are listening to us. What exactly is the implication of dysfunctional democracy? What are the consequences for the people?
Well, the consequences are enormous, and the one I'll be touching on is the one that affects all and sundry, which is lack of, good service delivery for citizens. Because when the government is not held accountable, that means public interest will override public service, right? Take, for instance, at the national level, many citizens even fall victim of paying much attention, much focus on the budget, how much was allocated, than on audits. How was it spent?
Okay.
And how many citizens
we always talk about they have given education this amount.
Exactly.
We are not asking how have they actually delivered the amount.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what you mean by accountability.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Today, how many Nigerians are aware that the audit report on how the federal government implemented the budget of 2022, 2023, 2024 has not been released? Nobody cares, but they care about they've budgeted this amount for education this year, they budgeted this amount for SK. How was it spent? Are citizens following up? Take, for instance, the issue of insecurity, especially with the tragedy that happened in Benue. We know how much is being spent or is being allocated on security every year.
And then the governor also gets what you call security votes.
Exactly.
So nobody's even asking, so what are you doing with these funds?
Exactly. Exactly. And why does this issue still persist? And, to my highest shock, like you earlier mentioned, the president was going to visit what should be a national tragedy, a money event, turned out to mobilize it.
To be a carnival.
Oh, my goodness.
They even announced that there's food.
Oh, my goodness.
I was even wondering how they were able to put up that kind of event in 2 days. Because the president announced that he would be, he announced on Monday afternoon.
Yes.
And then on Wednesday, you had a big carnival in a morning situation.
Oh my God. It's very, very, like it's just showing a disconnection, like a gross disconnect between the government and the pain of the people, which is a national disgrace, to be honest, which is a national disgrace. So I think the government just needs to get more responsible, especially with the Benue massacre, getting more responsible in terms of, like you were saying earlier. I think it should be, setting up intelligence is not enough, but it should be military, police, and citizen inclusive, intelligence units to tackle these issues. Because citizens are the stakeholders. They are the, inhabitants of these communities. They are the ones that know what they face day in, day out. And also, in terms of arresting that the president was saying, it's not enough to arrest. How about prosecution? We've always been arresting over the years. It's a repeated event. This is not the first time that massacre will happen in Benue. So it should not stop at the level of arrest, but prosecution. Because when justice is absent, then genocide will persist. Yeah, the perpetrators of this evil, they will persist when there is no justice.
Okay, you know, one man soldier or one man army asking for accountability, but if you are in a community or what like the things that the Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative does and the rest and the others, talk to us.
Well, I think it's a two-way thing. The first part is the part of the government, and the other part is the part of the citizens. Because at PLSI, you know, we work to bridge the gap between the government and the citizens. And one of the things we are big on is reforms, because we understand that there are changes that cannot happen in the society without reforms in the system of governance.
Okay.
So I would start from the government angle. Take, for instance, you know, we've been talking about the national level, about the broader country. But take, for example, in the subnational level, or your state, for instance, if we study, although we can say the government objectively has been doing enough, you know, paying workers' salary, you know, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and all of that. But let's see how the you know, executive and the legislative arm is designed. Take, for instance, the governor as a party. In the House of Assembly, we have 32 seats, right? Representing, you know, each local government. Of the 32 seats, 28 members of the House of Assembly belong to a single party.
Yeah,
the governor's party. Why just 4 belong to the opposition party? In that way, there is a weakened checks and balance system. So there cannot be check and balances. There cannot be proper accountability. And mind you, the speaker, the deputy speaker, the chairman public account committee belong to the governor's party. So who checks on how the executive, you know, utilizes public fund? Nobody. Because you belong to the same system. So definitely Exactly. So ideally, by virtue of constitutional provisions, the public accounts committee chair should be from the opposition party.
Okay.
You know, you don't belong to their caucus, so you would, though it might not be from your fair interest, but at least you would want to.
At least you want to put up a fight.
Exactly.
They say, no, why are we spending this money like this?
Exactly. But it's not so. Yesterday, there was the news that, you know, the governor wants to spend 63 billion naira on renovation and all of that. If it were to be like a state where there is multi-party system in real sense, there will be questions.
Okay.
Even before citizens raises questions, even the legislature would question this most. But since it's a one-party system, definitely there cannot be, you know, proper check and balances. So the system needs to be reformed. So that's on the part of the government.
Okay.
So for the citizens, like Okikiola said, it's a representative democracy that we practice. So you are the one that elected these people into power. So that means you have the right to demand how they are representing, how well they are representing you. So I think part of the tools they can use is to follow civic organizations like ours, PLSI. You know, we have budgets, we have other civil society organizations that provide citizens with information, with data, either on budget or audit. Ours is mostly on public audit. That's why I was saying that how many citizens are aware about the, you know, backlogs of audit reports that has not been published. And to even imagine that the most recent audit report available today, which is the 2021 audit report of the federal government, we did an analysis of it at the, you know, at PLSI, and we realized that, you know, out of 28 cross-cutting issues that we have there, about 3.5 trillion naira was not accounted for.
Wow.
In 2021.
Massive.
And the report was even submitted to the National Assembly 34 months after the end of the financial year. So that means it was submitted around November 2024, last year, report of 2021. So how many citizens are aware of these things? Of the 3.5 trillion naira, just 8 government agencies at the federal level could not account for 2.9 trillion naira. So this is massive. And in November that last year, I could remember President Tinubu wrote to the National Assembly to approve a borrowing of 1.7 trillion naira, which is less than the amount that was not accounted for.
Wow.
So that means we are losing enormous amount in public funds. And citizens are not asking the right questions, are not even paying attention to the concept of audit.
Our democracy would have been more functional if we were able to account for the over 3 trillion naira, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Imagine if they want to build schools, hospitals, roads out of this 3.5 trillion naira. Imagine how much they would build, across the country.
Wow.
And how many citizens would benefit from those, social, infrastructure.
So in other words, Taiwo is saying that if you want to engage government, you can actually use data and some other platforms that have been provided by this organization, Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative. Budget even has tracker, an element that they use to follow constituency projects, and so on and so forth. You have code, follow the money, even follow the money, Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative, value for money.
Yes.
You have all these tools and and platforms available. Explore them so that you can use them to engage.